Continuing to read from the introduction of Caitanya Caritamrita. One may ask that if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, then why did he need a spiritual master? Of course, he did not need a spiritual master, but because he was playing the role of an acharya, one who teaches by example, he accepted a spiritual master. So many people say, if Krishna is God, then why does he take a spiritual master? But because he has to set an example. Otherwise, people will say, oh, look, Krishna himself didn't take a spiritual master, so why should I? So to set the example, Krishna always acts. That's what he says in the Bhagavad Gita, that he acts only to set an example, because whatever a great person does, then the common person follows that. And Acharya means one who teaches by example. So Lord Chaitanya is an Acharya. Srila Prabhupada is an Acharya, teaching us by example. Not only telling us what to do, but actually doing it and showing us, okay, you do like this, follow what I'm doing. Even Krishna himself accepted a spiritual master, for that is the system. In this way, the Lord sets the example for men. We should not think, however, that the Lord takes a spiritual master because he is in want of knowledge. He's simply stressing the importance of accepting the disciplic succession. So some people, they say, oh, he took a guru, so because he doesn't have knowledge, so why shall we think that he's the Supreme Lord if he doesn't have a knowledge and he's taking up a spiritual master? But he is just setting an example that we need to accept a spiritual master in the parampara, in the disciplic succession. The knowledge in that, the knowledge taught in that disciplic succession actually comes from the Lord himself. And if the knowledge descends unbroken, it is perfect. So we can see how Krishna, he gave the knowledge to Brahma. Brahma gave to Narad Muni gave to Vyasadev gave to Madhvacharya gave to Madhavendra Puri. Like that, it's coming. It's coming. We are receiving the knowledge in the disciplic succession. And it's coming from Krishna. Although we may not be in touch with the original personality who first imparted the knowledge, we may receive the same knowledge through this process of transmission. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that Krishna, the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, transmitted transcendental knowledge into the heart of Brahma. This then is one way knowledge is received, through the heart. Thus, there are two processes by which one may receive knowledge. One depends directly upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated as the Supersoul within the heart of all living entities. And the other depends upon the Guru or spiritual master, who is an expansion of Krishna. Thus, Krishna transmits information both from within and from without. We simply have to receive it. If knowledge is received in this way, it doesn't matter whether it is inconceivable or not. So Prabhupada is saying that there are two ways of receiving knowledge. As Brahma received the knowledge directly in his heart, because the Paramatma is in the heart, so he enlightened him. And then another way to receive is through hearing. Hearing from who? From the Guru, who's coming in the Parampara system. And so Krishna is instructing from both the ways, from within as the Paramatma, and from outside as the bona fide representative, his bona fide representative, the spiritual master. And what do we have to do on our part? We simply have to receive. Once we find the bona fide spiritual master, we should receive this knowledge with faith, with sincerity, with enthusiasm. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a great deal of information given about the Vaikuntha planetary systems, which are beyond the material universe. Similarly, a great deal of inconceivable information is given in the Caitanya Caritamrita. Any attempt to arrive at this information through experimental knowledge will fail. So both Bhagavatam and Caitanya Caritamrita, it's giving us knowledge which is not at all material. There's nothing material. in these great literatures, Srimad Bhagavatam and Caitanya Caritamrita. And they're telling us about all transcendental subject matters, things which are beyond this material world. And so if we will try to understand this transcendental knowledge with our material minds and our material senses, we will not be able to understand it. We will not be able to receive it. The knowledge simply has to be accepted according to the Vedic method. Shabda, or transcendental sound, is regarded as evidence. Sound is very important in Vedic understanding, for if it is pure, it is accepted as authoritative. So how we are accepting the authority of Lord Brahma? Lord Brahma, he saw the Golok Vrindavan, and that's why he sang the beautiful Brahma Samhita prayers. And we have to hear it and receive the knowledge. And that is the way of receiving the Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is received by hearing through Shabda Praman, transcendental sound. So even in the material world, we accept a great deal of information sent thousands of miles by telephone or radio. In this way, we also accept sound as evidence in our daily lives. Although we cannot see the informant, we accept this information as valid on the basis of sound. Sound vibration then is very important in the transmission of Vedic knowledge. So how we used to have radios before, now we have television so we can see it also. But before we had radio, some news reporter will speak inside the radio and we are just hearing. And then we believe he's saying about some faraway place, oh, this thing happened here and this thing happened there. Although we couldn't see it, but we would accept it. And as, yes, this news is saying correct, this channel, radio channel is saying the truth. So similarly, the Vedic knowledge is received through sound when we are hearing from the pure devotees. When we are hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam was spoken by Sukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj was hearing. He heard this knowledge. And similarly, we are hearing now the same knowledge of Bhagavatam. The Vedas inform us that beyond this cosmic manifestation, there are extensive planets in the spiritual sky. This material manifestation is regarded as only a small portion of the total creation. The material manifestation includes not only this universe, but innumerable others as well. But all the material universes combined constitute only 1/4 of the total creation. The remaining 3/4 is situated in the spiritual sky. In that sky, innumerable planets float, and these are called Vaikuntha Lokas. In every Vaikuntha Loka, Narayan presides with his 4 expansions: Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Anirudh, and Vasudev. This Sankarshan, states Krishnadas Kaviraj in the 8th verse of Caitanya Caritamrita, is Lord Nityananda. So here, Prabhupada is saying that in this material world, which comprises of many, many universes, not only our universe, but unlimited numbers of universes, but this whole material creation is just a tiny portion, just 1/4 of the total creation, because 3/4 is the spiritual sky. And in that spiritual sky also, there are many, many planets, spiritual planets. Same as in this material world, there are material planets. In the spiritual sky, there are spiritual planets. And these spiritual planets are called Vaikuntha Loka. And in every Vaikuntha Loka, Lord Narayan is there. And his expansions are there also, called Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Anirudh, and Vasudev. And Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who is the author of Caitanya Caritamrita, is saying that this Sankarshan is Lord Nityananda. So Lord Nityananda is Balaram himself. There is no difference. He's Lord Balaram himself, Lord Nityananda. As stated before, the material universes are manifested by the Lord in the form of Mahavishnu. Just as a husband and wife combine to beget offspring, Mahavishnu combines with his wife Maya or material nature. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 14.4, where Krishna states, Sarva yonishu konteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahad yonir aham bija pradapita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Vishnu impregnates Maya, the material nature, simply by glancing at her. So simply by Krishna's glance, when Mahavishnu glances at this Mahatattva, all the living entities are put here. And he is declaring, no one else says that I am the seed-giving father of all living entities. No one says that. Even Brahmaji doesn't say. Brahmaji also says that Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami, that you are my seed-giving father, my dear Govinda. Even Brahmaji says that. So Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He is the creator of each and every living entity, the material world, the spiritual world, of everything. This is the spiritual method. Materially, we are limited to impregnating by only one particular part of our body, but the Supreme Lord, Krishna or Mahavishnu, can impregnate by any part. Simply by glancing, the Lord can conceive countless living entities in the womb of material nature. So how does Krishna impregnate the material nature? Just by glancing. He just looks at her. The Brahma Samhita confirms that the spiritual body of the Supreme Lord is so powerful that any part of his body can perform the functions of any other part. We can touch only with our hands or skin, but Krishna can touch just by glancing. We can see only with our eyes. We cannot touch or smell with them. Krishna, however, can smell and also eat with his eyes. When food is offered to Krishna, we do not see him eating, but he eats simply by glancing at the food. We cannot imagine how things work in the spiritual world, where everything is spiritual. It is not that Krishna does not eat, or that we imagine that he eats. He actually eats, but his eating is different from ours. Our eating process will be similar to his when we are completely on the spiritual platform. On that platform, every part of the body can act on behalf of any other part. So right now, we are not able to understand how Krishna does these things because our senses are not able to do that. We cannot put the food in our eyes, or put the food in our ear. No, we have to put it in our mouth. But Krishna, he can just eat his food by just looking at it, And so we are not able to imagine how these inconceivable things are happening, but it is happening. It is happening. We shouldn't try to put our limitations on God. We cannot put God in our box of this is how God should be, He does not have to fit into our idea. He's totally independent. He can do anything. And Prabhupada is saying that when we become completely spiritual, when we have our spiritual body, then with that spiritual body also, all our different parts of the bodies can function as Krishna's is. They can function on behalf of any other part of the body. So these are inconceivable things, and we can just receive them with faith and try to accept them to the best of our ability. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So we can stop here for today. Sri Caitanya Caritamrita ki Adi ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.